Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Don't you just love saying those words? He's gone full fascist on the overwhelmingly peaceful protests that have locked down Ottawa for the last 3 weeks, following a record-breaking convoy of truckers who traveled to the nation's capital to protest the government's arbitrarily strict vaccine mandates for international truckers. Rather than meeting with the protesters, hearing their concerns, and at the very least pretending to care about their concerns, Trudeau has despicably slandered them as bigoted, racist, domestic terrorists who must be crushed. Imagine a world where it would ever be imaginable for a world leader to actually listen to the people that put them in power. At this point, I think every person running a country is a dictatorial piece of shit. I mean, name one that's not. But do you realize why they don't listen to the people? Because they know that it's not the people that actually put them in power. No. It's all part of the elitist cabal. The powers that be are the ones in charge. People like Trudeau bow only to the puppet masters. I pray that every one of these scumbags receives the swift judgment of God for their crimes against humanity. Burn in hell. Justin Trudeau is a living example of why you should never grant power to weak men. And yes, I said men. Weak men are the absolute worst because they use their perceived power to fill the void when it comes to their lack of genital swing and overall missing machismo. Men like Trudeau are reckless, feckless, jealous, infectious, careless, endless, and dickless. In short, he's a menace. That almost like Eminem right there. He is what an internet troll would look like if you put one in power. So here's where we are, folks. The working class truckers who showed up in Ottawa in their big rigs sporting maple leaf banners and flags proceeded to set up, well, it wasn't like razor wire and crazy landmines or anything. No bouncy castles without hurting anybody or destroying anything to try to pressure the federal government to rescind vaccine mandates for people who spend the vast majority of their workday alone in the cab of a freaking truck. These are the violent extremist fringe terrorists. Yes, the people that drive all night to bring you shit so you can do trivial things, like eat food. And as if this didn't look bad enough for Trudeau, who just last week infuriated a Jewish parliamentarian whose ancestors survived the Holocaust by accusing the convoy supporters of neo-Nazi sympathies, he has used his emergency powers to send SWAT teams and mounted police on the protesters, arresting hundreds, destroying and confiscating property, and freezing bank accounts in an effort to squash the protest. Some protesters have even been trampled by horses. That's it, Justin. There are people outside your office building. Better invoke emergency powers. What a douche canoe this guy is. Now, it was in this context that Twitter launched an unflattering hashtag over the weekend, which was trending on Saturday, hashtag Blackface Hitler. British actor Lawrence Fox was pleased to see this, and he summed up the whole of Trudeau's terrible PR rather nicely with a well-cited George Orwell reference on Twitter, which said, all tyrannies rule through fraud and force, but once the fraud is exposed, they must rely exclusively on force. Now, if you say Blackface Hitler, you don't have to go look that up. Everybody knows who you're talking about. They know you're referring to Trudeau. While there were some absurd points of an anti-Semitism in light of many comparisons between Trudeau and Hitler featured in memes that circulated social media throughout the week, it couldn't possibly be more fitting. No one, having spent the last 4 years like some of you lefty wackadoodles out there screaming literally Hitler every time Orange Man opened his mouth, has any right criticizing anyone for comparing a leader to the Nazi dictator, least of all when said leader is sending law enforcement to crush a peaceful protest movement that simply doesn't want to be forced to inject themselves with an experimental drug in order to keep their jobs. Trudeau needs to walk off the short pier of human history and into its dustbin of desperate despots. He actually urges cops to visit the homes of people who post to social media in support of the Freedom Convoy protests. Look, bro, if you don't love your people, you can't lead your people. A great man once said that it's possible for a leader to get so far out in front of his people that they begin to perceive him as their enemy. But this guy showed his colors a long time ago. And yes, those colors were blackface.
If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe to our channel so you'll be sure to see similar videos from BlazeTV with the added bonus of signaling YouTube that your voice and opinion still matters. And if you're looking for more great conservative content, check out one of the 2 videos suggested here.